2004, I would have been 27, 28 whenever I got the job. I ended up finding UT Dallas randomly. Actually, I was in a job search and just happened to click on a link that said they were looking for a coach. And honestly, I didn't think I would get much of a look because I hadn't had head coaching experience. I was an assistant underneath an athletic director, so I got a lot of duties. So I was hoping that whenever I interviewed that I would get the opportunity to start the program here, and by luck they chose me, and it's been a fun ride since I've been here. I think the university's grown so much and we've been able to pull some really great student athletes. You know, it was a huge change for me going from Division II to Division III and figuring out what kind of culture I needed to establish. The academics were significantly different, so I had to figure out the recruiting niche and what would fit for the university. But I think the biggest thing was just trying to find student athletes that fit that UT Dallas mold, and then establishing that culture of finding really smart kids that could also play volleyball and were interested in coming here and being serious student athletes. Starting the program wasn't too difficult as far as UT Dallas, and the reason I say that is because the facilities were already here. Rec Sports at the time, now UREC, had awesome facilities as far as volleyball nets and poles. So just getting the equipment as far as ball carts and balls and uniforms, those things weren't too difficult. The most challenging thing was the recruiting aspect of me learning the ropes of figuring out what would fit at UT Dallas. I think as a head coach, you come in a little naive that all of your players are going to like you, and that doesn't always happen. And I think one of the other surprising things was we were able to have some success. We, as I usually do, scheduled pretty difficult to start the program. I think we started 0-6 our first year and 0-9 in our second season, but we were able to knock off Texas Lutheran that first year, and they had a very successful run, and that was a big upset for us, and I think it set the precedent for where the program was going. So I don't know that I necessarily had any fears at the time, because there was only one way to go, and that was up, starting from the bottom. You know, I think there's more quote-unquote pressure now that you've been in that successful situation, and the expectation is there to keep that success going. It's funny because we were in a tiny, what is now a storage closet, or was a storage closet. Somebody is now using that as an office again. Zach and I were crammed in there to now I have my own office. He's got his own area in his cubicle. So that has changed. I mean, obviously, if you walk on campus from 2004 to now, that has dramatically changed too. And so it's a much easier sell now with all the new buildings and everything we have going for us here than it was in 2004. I think the level of volleyball has dramatically changed, and we're able to get more athletic, more experienced club players than we were able to those first few years. But also I think that the dynamic within our conference has changed a lot. I think we've been able to pull some really good coaches that are spending more time out recruiting, and they're able to pull better athletes. We've also started some video review and video exchange within the conference. I think that has made things stronger within our conference, and therefore we're more prepared regionally for postseason. Well, I'll tell you this, our recruiting has changed a lot in the 15 years. These student athletes that are serious about their academics and kind of have an idea of what they want to do career-wise are really good fits for UT Dallas. You know, if we're making phone calls and they don't know their SAT or ACT scores or their class ranks, or they don't know what they want to major in, those aren't the type of student athletes that are going to be successful here. When we make phone calls or texts, usually the student athletes we go for know their SAT and ACT breakdowns, they know their class rank, they know exactly what they want to do career-wise, and those are the kind of student athletes that we have to recruit here and ultimately have success being here. You know, we have been fortunate enough to have some stability in our program, and one of the things that, you know, Nebraska, I really appreciated that they said last year after they won the national championship was, we're not really rebuilding, we're just reinventing. And I think that's what you have to do every year with teams. It's not necessarily rebuild, which a lot of people say, you just have to reinvent what your strengths and weaknesses are going to be and find out what's going to work for that team. I get asked a lot, why does Zach stay? I get asked a lot why I stay at UT Dallas, but once you walk on our campus and you meet our team, it sells itself. You understand why you would stay here. Zach and I just have a really good working relationship where it's more of a head coach than it is head assistant. But also we just have the same philosophies and we came from the same mentors, so we have a lot of the same mindset. And so I have been very fortunate to keep him, and I think that's led to that consistency, that success that we've been able to have. He's very knowledgeable, and so he's able to run things by himself, and so I can totally trust him. He's loyal, he's supportive, and he's just a good man. And so it's been a fun ride with him, and I'm so glad that he has stayed with us throughout these 15 years. I made a promise that I would win our first conference championship within 5 years. And it was in our 5th season that we won our first championship. And so we've kind of been there and done that, and I know that sounds a little strange to hear us say that, but we want bigger and better. You know, we were 2 points away from winning a regional championship and being at the national tournament 2 years ago. You know, we're looking for something bigger and better. Sure, championships are always nice, championship rings are always nice, but I was told when I got here I'll never win a national championship, and I'm just the type of player and also now coach that I always wanted challenges and stepped up to challenges. So that is the ultimate goal, but before that we got to get to back to that regional and win that championship and then move on from there.